Hello and welcome back to Lindy's Gang YouTube channel. My name is Aditi and I am back with some inspiration for y'all. Today I am going to be creating something using our challenge set of the month, which is Haunted Halloween. And I don't do spooky. And for that reason, I am going to be sharing what I enjoy, that's florals, and painting a few florals to create some easy cards, one layer cards using the Lindy's Magicals and a few details. So let's dive right in. Now here I have two pieces of watercolor cardstock that I had pre-stamped for a project. I have used these two stamp sets from Alt New, and I have stamped the images with black ink and I've stamped the sentiments as well. So this just makes my work easy to start painting and creating these cards. First up, I'm just going to quickly set all of this aside, pull out my rag cloth, which is very dirty, but I just don't want to mess up my table. Bring my palette, and on my palette, I am going to mix all the magicals that come in the Haunted Halloween set. So I'm going to spritz water in the wells right here on my palette, and I'm spritzing a sixth one for the Milky Way white. I just like to have it handy just in case I need it. I make sure to just add it on my palette. I'm using a palette knife right here to pick a little powder and add that into my palette, and then I'll go in with a paintbrush and mix everything up. Just makes it easy to grab a little powder, and I'll just repeat that same process with the remaining powders right here. Now just using my paintbrush, I'm going to mix and blend everything in together so that my powder mixes well with the water, and I have my custom watercolors ready to begin painting. I've just moistened my paintbrush, and what I'm going to do is start picking in color. I am going to pick in the Witch's Potion purple first and start adding that, and I'm just going to dab that slightly on all of these clusters. Now, I don't want to exactly call them petals. In my mind, this to me looks like a dandelion cluster, so I'm going to just refer to it as the dandelion. And so I'm just adding a little color onto each of the cotton like cluster that we have here with the Witch's Potion purple. And then I'm going to go in with clean water. My best brush is further moistened and just water, and start dragging that. Basically what that will do is give me a nice clouded look. At a few places I'll have a lighter intensity, and at a few places I will have a darker color. So I'm not too worried about this completely blending in. That's not the idea that I have here, but I just want to have that gradient. I want to have the light and the dark. So that looks good. And I will go back in, blend more color. But first I'm just starting off with this. So going back in with just clean water, and at places where it's too ruffled, I'm going to pick a little more color and just dab that in to get it flowing and moving slightly here and there randomly, just where I can make it work with a darker intensity. And I like to leave a little white too because that creates beautiful highlights. So when painting, that's another thing to keep in mind. And now I am thinking I will add a little tainted love teal. It's a beautiful dark color. Just dabbing it again at a few places so that it meets in with the purple that we have there and creates a little more shading just at a few spots. We have that teal shimmer from our purple, which is absolutely gorgeous. And then when I bring in the tainted love teal, I think it makes for a great mix. Plus, you will see me here just going back in with the purple a little bit to darken a few areas. And that's basically my process. I start adding color little by little, and then wherever I feel I can go back in and darken it, I just pick more color and alternate and repeat that. So this is more of a relaxing process. Like I always tell you, watercoloring is so therapeutic, and I absolutely enjoy watercoloring with Lindy's, especially the sets with the shimmer, the starburst sets, because I just love the bling and the shimmer, and I think it adds so much more to a painting. I love using the flat sets too. That's absolutely great as well. But by now, you would have seen my content, and you know how I enjoy just painting and watercoloring with my Lindies. And I keep bringing back that content just to inspire you all in case you're looking for ideas, inspiration about how something was painted. I just hope that these tutorials and videos really inspire you and give you fresh ideas. Plus, it also helps you better the skill. After all, it's a craft, right? We're crafting. And so I would say the more we practice, the better we get at it. And that's my idea when I mix in a few things. And you will see I have just started. So there is a lot more that I'm going to add to this image. And I always hope that this makes you happy, makes you smile, and inspires you. So, with that said, what I'm going to do is complete coloring this other cluster right here the same way, but I'll just speed it up and leave you all with a little music to just sit back, relax, and enjoy. Before that, I just want to mention for this one, I used my clean paintbrush and just gave a quick watercolor wash on the area I was painting so that it starts already blending in. And I want to show you this because these are the two ways of doing it. This is the wet on wet method, and that was wet on dry method. Now for the spurious part, the leaves and the stem, I've used the freely franklin line, and I just did wet on dry method because the stems are too thin and I didn't want color leaking out. For the leaves, I'm just dabbing, and I'm going to add tainted love teal there because that with the green is going to create another beautiful blend, which is very different from the teal with the purple. But that way, I'm just bringing back one common color and creating shading just using few colors in my palette. So at a few places, I'm set this aside to dry, and let's paint our second image right here. Again, for this I'm going to begin by wetting the region, so just the center of the flowers, and I will add the orange just by dabbing it. The orange leaves a peel shimmer which is really stunning. One flower at a time, so I'm just going to wet the petals of this flower down here. I don't want it to be too salty, I just want it to moisten and let my paper take in the color. And I will start with, again, purple. Just adding a touch of it everywhere, letting it flow with color, and then going back in with the green paintbrush to move the color around a little bit. Again, it's a loose watercolor look, which becomes very easy when you moisten the paper and just drop in the color. And right here, as it's wet, I'm going to go in with the orange at the tips. So just drop in a little bit of the orange at the tips. And use my paintbrush to move that orange around. And it's just about letting all of these blend together. And I just keep adding color over color until I'm happy with the intensity. And repeat the same thing on the other flower. For the leaves, I will do the same process, just going to wet the pigment. Since they're bigger, I'm just going to wet the portion, add more pigment, and add layers of the same color over color until I'm happy. And that's a look at them dried. If you want a clean and simple painted look, then you could stop here, add a little embellishments and call it done. But of course, like I said, I am going to layer it up. So let's work on this particular card first. And I have a few stencils and a stamp. So I have a diamond stencil right here that I'm going to pull out. I will use this stencil with a foam blending tool and my Lindy's Magicals. So I'm going to use this acetate backing as a palette right here, and I am going to pick up the teal color with my paintbrush. So what I'm doing is picking up tinted teal and just adding that right here on my acetate, simply because I haven't used that color, and adding that in the background would really work with all the colors we have going on. And I don't want too many of the big diamonds. I mostly want the smaller ones. So I'm gonna just pick paint here on my foam blending brush or tool, and around my floral cluster just start stenciling with this. That is what we have so far, and like I was telling you, it just adds something unique in the background. I'm going to repeat that right here at the top as well, just like that. So we have a cool background with our Lindy's and a stencil. Now one more layer that I'm going to add. So I'm just quickly going to set the stencil aside, and I am going to use a script stamp with some black ink and add that at a few places. And this time I'm overlapping it. I am taking it a little on my floral image as well. Again, this just creates that mixed media collage look, just like that. And I will use my paintbrush, set this aside, bring my palette back in, and add splatter with the Milky Way white that I had mixed at the beginning. I'm also adding splatter with the other colors I've used to paint the floral images on this card. For this card, I'm thinking I'll leave it clean and simple just to give you an idea of the two looks, but I will add splatter to complete this. That's a look at the two cards. So we have one which is a little messy, mixed media, two messy because of the splatters, but mostly clean and simple, and lovely coloring on there. So let me just show you a close up and look at all that gorgeous shimmer. Absolutely love that. And on this one too, the shimmer also sparkling on the stencil detail, just adding another level of texture, and it looks like it's so layered, hard to tell what we began with, right? Now I would definitely frame these in the sense that I would add a black card mat around these to complete it off, and that black border will tie in with the black from my sentiment and just frame the two cards as well. So with that said, this brings us at the end of this tutorial, and I really hope that you've enjoyed this and that this has inspired you. If you do share something inspired from what I've taught you, do tag me. I am on Instagram as addi.mahajan. You can tag me on the Facebook Lindy's Creative Gang as well, because I absolutely love seeing all your creations. Until the next time, take care and bye-bye.